All right. Well, I'm here today with one of my recently graduated level 3 students, Tylee Spiller. And I had Tylee in levels 1, 2, and 3, and she just finished level 3. Anyway, Tylee distinguished herself right off the bat as being a very hard worker and doing the most important thing that is part of my writing class, which is not to be a world-class writer. But Tylee, do you know what I'm going to say is the most important thing that you have to learn when you do my writing class? Starts with
follow the instructions.
Yes, exactly. Following directions. And so we don't talk about talent in my writing classes. We talk about whether students did what I asked them to do. And if they do what I asked them to do, then they get better. And so Tylee always did. So she was, and her writing was a joy to read. And anyway, Tylee has some very exciting news that she told me, I think on the last day of class. Wasn't that when you told me that? Your news about your award? Yeah. So I've been patiently waiting till it was okay to talk about it. And Tylee, tell us what your exciting news is.
So I submitted an essay to the South Carolina, like Strong Men and Women in South Carolina History. And it's they've been doing it for 2 years. So this is only the second year they've been doing it. And so this year I had to write an essay about a strong African American who lived in South Carolina who did great things for the state. And so I wrote about Anna DeCosta Banks, and she was a nurse in Charleston, and she was a big leader in her hospital, and she always pushed her nurses to strive for excellence and to be included in everything because they were really excluded. And so she even has a whole entire wing of one of the hospitals down there named after her. And she had an entire hospital named after her, but it closed and became part of the main hospital. And so that's what I wrote about. And then I actually won the contest, and it was out of over 100 entries to the contest. And they picked one winner from every area. And I won from CSRA region, like from every region. And so I actually won, and I was just so excited because I didn't really expect it, because it was really the first contest I entered with writing. And I was just so excited. I started jumping up and down, and I was just
and I started jumping up and down too when you told me about it. I didn't even know that you had entered a contest. So, and so how did you go about choosing who you were going to write about?
Well, I just started looking up like African American women in South Carolina who are nurses and stuff, because I want to be a nurse. And so I was just really interested in that subject. And I started looking up, and she was one of the first ones who popped up. And I just picked her and started reading about her. And I was like, well, this is really interesting. And so I just decided to go with that. I didn't even have to do too much research. I only picked a few excerpts and wrote off of that. So
okay, that is amazing. So how did you I am assuming you took notes from the research that you found, because one thing we've learned is that a lot of students nowadays think that research means you can just take stuff off the internet and copy and paste it and make a paper out of it. So I'm sure that's not what you did. What did you do?
I just kind of picked the ones that, like, the information I thought was most important from the passages, like about her life and then different stuff like that, because I had to add my own opinion to it, and I did it in a separate paragraph. But I just took the information I read and kind of put it together in my own words and formatted it differently, and it didn't take too long, but
did you make any keyword outlines to do it?
I kind of did it. I did it more or less in my mind because I was trying to format it. I didn't really write it out, but it was more or less formatted in my brain.
So you've had so much practice doing outlines and thinking about how you want to go about building your argument. And apparently that has become what we would say as natural at this point. So that's really exciting. You know, now sometimes in college you will be required to actually turn in outlines, but there's some papers you always at least have to have an outline in your head, of course, which apparently you did. And you chose the things that you thought were the most interesting and most important. And because you can't write everything there is to know about everything. Was there a word limit?
500 words. And I got to like 498.
That's not very long, is it? That's like 1.5 paragraphs of your normal paragraphs, I think, you know?
Yes.
Yes. So you have to be really, really careful what you choose to write about because you can't just go on and on about everything. So that's great. So you've learned to look for the things that are either the most interesting or the most important, whatever it is that fits the assignment at the time. And so what's the most important thing that stands out in your mind about this person? Why is she so personally inspiring to you?
It's hard to say because she had such a good work ethic. She like rarely took off her uniform, and it was just she just, even though there were so many barriers, she just went over them or whatever she had to do to get over them. And she was just a very strong person. And that's just really encouraging to me because that's what I want to be, you know, not give up when things get hard. And so she did that.
Well, that's a great thing to think about. And one of these days when you're in nursing school and things get tough, as it will, you can think back about her and say, okay, she was able to do this. I'm going to try to copy her. She's my role model. That's amazing. So just talk for a minute about your writing experience. I remember when you first came into level 1, you were very engaged right from the start, always eager to learn. But you told me later that you said you didn't really feel like you knew how to go about writing a paper, but I couldn't tell that because everything I told you to do, you did it. And so you went from level 1 to level 3. And so what's your confidence level like now when it comes to writing?
I'm definitely very confident because things just flow a lot more naturally. And I don't use banned words, and I use a variety of sentence openers and style and decorations. And it just comes naturally now because when I first started, I was very uncomfortable with writing, and I felt very insecure about it, and I just didn't really like it too much. But then when I started your classes, it just became something I really loved to do, and it comes a lot more naturally now that I took all the classes.
Well,
and if you follow the instructions and everything. So.
Well, the classes are really important, but you know, the classes aren't magic. It requires following direction, and it is a lot of work, and you put that work in, and you kept doing the style things and the structure things over and over and over, and you built up a number of hours of writing experience, and we call that, there's a certain principle we call that, if you remember. We write about it in level 2. It's the,
Do hard things in 10,000 hours.
yes. And so you really are the one that made that happen, you and your tireless editor, your mom. So, you were presented with the information and you did what you were asked to do, even though you really didn't feel comfortable about it, as you said. And it's just had amazing results because your writing is very enjoyable to read. And obviously the people that were doing the contest thought so too. So I'm just going to do a screen share here and let people see your article here on the website. There it is, Student Writing Contest Winners. Okay. Congratulations to the following 2022 Student Writing Contest winners. And there you are, right at the very top of the page. So, and then they tell you what the prompt, is this the actual prompt that you were given to write about?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then if you click on here, you can see, Tylee, how many pages was your communism essay that you wrote for your Great Idea Gone Wrong? It was really lengthy.
I think it was 15, not including the works cited page.
And I think there were about 4 pages on works cited, if I remember right.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Oh, I love your title, Listen to the Heartbeat. That is amazing. Beautiful. Okay. Oh, look, there she has a beautiful works cited page. Were you required to do a works cited, or they didn't say?
They didn't say, but I decided to because I didn't come up with that information. So I just put it there and they just kept it all exactly as I formatted it. So
That is absolutely wonderful. Okay, so if you want to see Tylee's essay, I'm going to put a link to it on the page where I put this video, and you can feel free to check it out and read it. And Tylee, I'm so proud of you, and I know all your family and friends are so proud of you too. You've worked very hard, and it's really starting to pay off. And this isn't going to be the only time you ever experience great success because of your writing, because you really have, you also, like the person that you wanted to talk about, have a great work ethic, and you keep at it till you get it done. And that is the best writing attribute that you can possibly have. So thank you so much for talking to us today, and I'll be looking forward to hearing more about your future exploits.